I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I sat in the living room, watching the clock tick away as the house remained eerily quiet. It had been a long day at work, and yet, when I returned home, everything seemed still. The kind of stillness that didn't feel comforting but rather unsettling. I glanced at the kitchen counter, where an odd jar sat. It wasn't there this morning. A strange object to be left so carelessly in plain sight, almost like it was meant to be noticed. My mind raced as I stared at it. It wasn't just any jar. It was old, the kind you might find in a vintage shop. Dark, thick glass with a rusty metal lid. Why had she left it out like this? I walked over to it, inspecting its peculiar presence. There was no note, no explanation, just the jar, as if it had appeared out of nowhere. My fingers hovered over the lid, but I hesitated, unsure whether I wanted to open it or not. Something about it screamed that it wasn't just an innocent object. I shook my head, trying to shake off the feeling that had settled in my chest. It was probably nothing. Maybe she had left it there absent-mindedly before rushing off to work. She had been acting a bit distracted lately, but that didn't necessarily mean something was wrong. Or did it? The door opened, pulling me from my thoughts. She walked in, her face slightly flushed, eyes not meeting mine as she kicked off her shoes. A small, forced smile curled on her lips. "Hey, babe," she murmured, her voice flat, lacking its usual warmth. "Hey," I replied, trying to keep my tone casual. But it was hard to ignore the tightness in my chest. She was acting distant. It wasn't like her. She was always so present, so connected. And yet now, she seemed like a stranger. A part of me wanted to ask her about the jar, but I couldn't bring myself to. There was something in the way she avoided eye contact that made me wary. I watched as she moved quickly to the bathroom, as if she couldn't wait to escape my gaze. My eyes drifted back to the jar, now a symbol of the growing unease inside me. What was she hiding? I had always trusted her, trusted us. Our relationship had always been easy, uncomplicated, filled with laughter and affection. We'd been through a lot together, and I always believed we'd weather any storm. But something had changed recently. There were the late nights at work that stretched on for hours, the unexplained texts, the little lies. It wasn't like before. I had felt the subtle shifts, small, almost imperceptible, but undeniable nonetheless. I shook my head again, trying to dismiss the nagging thought. It was probably nothing, just my imagination running wild. But why did I feel so unsettled? She returned from the bathroom, but her eyes still avoided mine. She was acting strange, and I couldn't put my finger on why. The silence between us felt heavier now, like a wall had been erected. I wasn't sure how to break it, and I wasn't sure if I even wanted to anymore. But the jar. I had to know. I had to find out what was going on. "Is everything okay?" I asked, my voice quiet, testing the waters. Her eyes flicked toward me, and for a moment, I saw a flash of something. Guilt? No, it couldn't be. Guilt was a strange thing to see in someone you thought you knew so well. "Yeah, everything's fine," she said quickly, almost too quickly. "Just tired." "Tired of what?" I asked, my voice slipping into a sharpness I hadn't intended. Her gaze dropped to the floor, and for a split second, I caught a glimpse of something else, something that felt like a lie. She shifted uncomfortably, and I realized I was still staring at the jar. Without a word, I stood up, unable to resist any longer. I walked over to it and unscrewed the lid, slowly, almost ceremoniously. The moment it opened, the air in the room seemed to shift, as though the truth had been waiting inside it, sealed away for just the right moment. Inside the jar, there was nothing spectacular, just a crumpled piece of paper, and beneath it, a photograph. My fingers trembled as I pulled them out. The paper was a note, written in a hurried, almost frantic scrawl. It was hard to make out at first, but the words were unmistakable. "I miss you. Let's meet again tonight. Same place." The photograph was clearer. A picture of her. But not with me. With a man I didn't recognize. They were close, laughing, her head resting on his shoulder. There was an intimacy in the way they looked at each other, a closeness I hadn't shared with her in weeks, maybe months. My breath caught in my throat. The world seemed to slow, the truth dawning on me in an instant. I felt my heart race as I looked at her, the room growing impossibly cold. I dropped the note and the photograph onto the counter, unable to tear my eyes away. I hadn't wanted to believe it, but here it was, staring me in the face. My instincts had been right all along. The silence between us was suffocating. I could hear the thudding of my heartbeat in my ears, loud enough to drown out everything else. She stood in front of me, her face a mixture of fear and guilt, but I didn't know what to do with her words anymore. I had heard them all, the apologies, the explanations, the promises. But none of them changed what had happened. None of them could erase the image in my mind of her with him, laughing, touching, sharing something that I had believed was only ours. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, breaking the silence, her voice barely audible. "I know I've ruined everything." "You have," I said flatly. The words left my mouth without any effort. It wasn't anger, it wasn't even sadness, it was just the truth. She had ruined everything. I didn't know if there was any coming back from this. "I never wanted to hurt you," she repeated, but her words were starting to sound empty. She could say it as many times as she wanted, but the damage was done. Every time she spoke, the hurt settled deeper into my bones, a constant reminder of what had been taken from me. "You've already hurt me," I said, my voice rising slightly. "You've already done the worst thing you could do. And now you want to fix it? Do you think a few tears and some 'I'm sorry's are going to make it go away?" Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't care anymore. I couldn't bring myself to feel pity for her, not when my own heart was shattered. "I don't expect you to forgive me," she said, and this time her voice cracked. "I don't expect things to go back to the way they were. I want you to know how sorry I am. I want to fix this." I shook my head. "Fix it? You can't fix this. It's too late." There was a hollow ache in my chest, but the words felt like the only truth I had left. There was no fixing it. There was no going back to the way things were. We couldn't pretend anymore. She reached out again, her hand shaking. "Please," she begged. "Please don't walk away. I love you. I made a mistake, but I still love you." I stepped back, unable to be near her. "You loved me?" I laughed bitterly. "You loved me while you were with him? You loved me while you were lying to my face every day. Don't tell me you love me now. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing you say can change what I know, what you've done." She swallowed hard, her face pale. "I know," she said quietly. "I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I've betrayed you, but I was so lonely. I didn't know how else to deal with it." Lonely? It felt like an excuse, a weak justification for something unforgivable. "You couldn't talk to me? You couldn't come to me with this? Instead of trying to fix things, you went behind my back and destroyed everything we built." My voice shook with a mix of anger and disbelief. How could she think that was the only way? How could she justify destroying what we had for something so fleeting? "I didn't know how," she said, her voice trembling. "I was scared you wouldn't listen. I didn't think you cared anymore. We were so distant. I thought if I could find someone who understood me, maybe I wouldn't feel so alone." Her words stung, but I couldn't bring myself to feel sympathy for her. I had been here all along. I had been right in front of her, and she hadn't tried to fix things with me. She hadn't even given me a chance. She had chosen him instead of trying to work things out with me. "Don't make excuses for this," I said, my voice tight. "You chose him. You made the decision to betray me. No matter how lonely you were, that was your choice. You crossed a line, and now I have to live with the consequences." I could see her breaking in front of me, the weight of the realization hitting her, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for me to suddenly feel pity or understanding. I wanted to feel angry, and I did. But more than that, I felt nothing. There was a hollow emptiness where my trust in her had been, and that emptiness couldn't be filled with apologies or promises. "I don't know what to do," she whispered, her voice barely audible now. "I don't know how to fix this." I stared at her, feeling the distance between us growing by the second. You can't fix it, I said softly, almost in disbelief. It's broken beyond repair. Her face crumpled, and for a moment, I thought I saw the person I used to love, the one who had made me feel like I was enough. But that person was gone. This wasn't the same woman who had once held my hand, who had laughed with me in the quiet of the night. The woman in front of me was a stranger now, someone I didn't recognize. I'm sorry, she said again, and I could see the tears streaming down her face. But they didn't reach me. They didn't move me. I was too far gone, too hurt, too betrayed. I don't think I can forgive you, I said, the words cutting through the space between us like a knife. I had wanted to believe that we could work through anything, that love could overcome any obstacle. But now I wasn't so sure. Now I didn't know if I even wanted to try. She dropped her head in shame, but I didn't feel the need to comfort her. I can't be here anymore, I muttered. I can't live in this lie. I can't keep pretending that everything's okay when it's not. When you've destroyed everything I believed in. She didn't say anything, and I didn't expect her to. The truth had already been said. What was left? What was left for us? The answer was nothing. I turned away, walking toward the door, the weight of the decision pressing down on me. There was no going back. And though it hurt like nothing I had ever felt before, I knew this was the end. I walked out of the room without looking back, my body moving on its own, guided by an instinct I couldn't control. Every step felt heavier, as though the weight of the entire situation was pressing down on me, suffocating me with its finality. My mind was in a haze, trying to process everything that had just happened, everything that had been said. But nothing made sense. It was like my world had just shattered, and I was left standing in the ruins, unable to piece it all back together. As I reached the door, I paused for a moment, staring at the handle, the same one I'd touched countless times before. It should have felt familiar, comforting even. But now it felt foreign, like I was stepping into a life that wasn't mine anymore. The life I had known was gone. I could feel it in every fiber of my being. The trust, the love, it was all gone, replaced by this crushing weight of betrayal that I couldn't shake off. I stepped out into the cold air, but even the chill didn't numb the pain that was surging through me. I couldn't breathe. I didn't know where to go, what to do. My entire body was on autopilot, moving without any real direction. I had thought that leaving would bring some clarity, some relief, but all it did was amplify the emptiness I felt inside. Every memory, every